Hey folks, I'm Papa Boris, and in this video I'm going to show you how to play Bad North. Bad North is just an incredible little gem of a game that came out back in 2018. It's currently on sale on Steam for 75% off. It's under $4. I highly recommend it if you haven't played it. If you're not familiar, this game is kind of hard to define. It's called a real-time strategy game on Steam, which sorry to the developers, I don't agree with that. Like, I get why they called it that, but it's not quite a real-time strategy game. It's kind of like a roguelike, but it's not quite that either. And it's kind of like an auto battler, but it's not quite that either. So it's just it's just Bad North. You really can't typify this game, and it's super fun. So let's go ahead and start a new game and show you how this works. When you first begin a game of Bad North, nothing is unlocked. You can see here I'm able to pick a trait as well as a starting item for my characters. However, when you first start playing, you don't get that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this and start the game as you would start it when you first download it. You get two commanders, and let's do normal difficulty. There's this button here that's what makes this game not a roguelike, allow level restarts. Of course, you can turn that off and make it a true roguelike if you wish, but one campaign is like many hours long. It takes me like 4 hours to get through all of it. It's going to be a multiple sitting type of affair, and it really sucks to have like one silly mistake because it is a real-time game and screw everything up. So yes, I play with allow level restarts, and I personally recommend it as well. I think that is more fun. Now let's go ahead and start, and let's talk about the mechanics of this delicious little game. So the objective is very simple. You need to island hop, protecting each island as you go, and try to breach the final island and, beat the final wave of bad guys. Enemies come to shore on these boats. You can control your squads by clicking on them or by pressing the number keys. This is my one weird beef with the game is that you can't see what number is which one, but I'll just tell you 1 is blue and 2 is yellow. That's how I'll be selecting them. When one of your squads is selected, the game slows down dramatically, which is why I don't think this is really a quote-unquote real-time strategy game, because you're not building a base and you're not gonna have to do 100,000 RPM to make things happen. You can really slow down, look all around, and think everything through. So enemies are going to be coming to shore on their boats. You tell your squads to move to where the enemies are, and they beat the enemies up. That's like the kind of auto battler element. The enemies aren't specifically trying to kill you. Their main goal is actually to destroy these buildings. So a little bit of Into the Breach vibe here, although this came out the same year as Into the Breach, so I don't think it copied that or anything. Not that destroying buildings is like the most original game mechanic ever. The point is that if you just leave the enemies alone and wait them to come to you, they won't, because what they'll do if the buildings are undefended is kind of throw Molotov cocktails at the buildings. The buildings can take a few hits. The buildings can take a beating. But eventually the buildings will burn down. And if you lose all the buildings, you lose the level. But if the buildings survive, you get coins. Little buildings give you 1 coin, mediums give you 2, and there are big houses that give you 3 coins. So what are the coins for? Well, when you're done defending an island, you go to this screen, which will be reminiscent of Faster Than Light. There's this line here that will gradually go to the right and swallow up the islands. But unlike Faster Than Light, you don't actually move. So after we do Rat Isle here, I can go to Scraggle or Crow's Nest. You can see the connections. But if I choose to go to Scraggle, then next I can go to Crow's Nest. You're always allowed to go to any island that is in your web. You don't have to sequentially jump from one island to another as you might be used to in a game like Faster Than Light. Now, this game also has turns. Once a commander fights in a battle, they're tired, and you have to click the next turn button to revitalize them. So let's go ahead and go to Rat Isle here. This symbol, by the way, is a preview of what enemies you'll be facing. This symbol is the preview for what I like to call sword guys. They're just the generic enemy. They come on boats. They don't have shields or ranged weapons or anything. They just have swords, and they try to kill you with the swords, but mostly they're interested in throwing grenades at the buildings and blowing them up. Okay, so let's go ahead and surround them and get ready to pounce. As you can imagine, as the game goes along, you get new enemy types that attack your people in creative and diverse ways. You get more enemies coming. Like here we got boats coming, and this boat's not even here, so it's like, oh god, I'm scared. Okay, so I'm gonna send my other squad over here to get ready to face this threat. And by the way, I'm rotating the island by right-clicking and holding. You can also rotate it by pressing A and D, but that's only one of 4 fixed positions. So I would recommend that you do the mouse, right-click to rotate. And also, I actually recommend using 1-button mouse behavior, because what it does if you select 2-button is that it means that you select a squad with the left mouse button and you make them move with the right, but I prefer to select squads with number keys and make them move with the left mouse button. Okay, we got 2 boats coming, so we're gonna have to split up. Orange go over there, blue go over here. Now you'll notice I'm never putting my squads right in front of the boats. That's because if you do this, then when the boat lands, your squad will be stunned for a little bit and be less effective at fighting, and the enemy will actually get a pretty good jump on you. I'll demonstrate that here. So watch this right here. See how they got stunned? And then the enemy just like, even though the enemy was wildly outnumbered, like 3 to, oh, there was a little grenade at the house. They were very jumpy about those. This is how they were just took the chance and ran with it. Yeah, so the enemy managed to kill quite a bit of my squad just because of how stunned I was. It's a very easy mistake to make that's not obvious. I guess unless you play the tutorial. Oh, there's a boat coming. Let's get out of the way. One more mechanic I want to show you. If your squad takes a bunch of damage, you can send them into a building to regenerate. This does take time, and once they're in a building, you can't get out of it. So I waited till the level was almost over to do that, because if I hadn't, I probably would have lost the level. But yeah, that's a way that if you have like multiple squads in an island, that you can regenerate one that took damage, and if you catch it at the right time, you can get back some of your crew members before the enemy comes. Okay, so now let's press next turn, and let's talk about coins. So upgrades. Each of your commanders begins with a squad of militia. These are like basically basic sword guys that just whack things with swords or clubs and don't really do very well. You can upgrade them into one of 3 types of enemies: archers, infantry, and pikes. Now, the infantry are kind of the simplest of the bunch, and it's probably an upgrade you should take. So the fact that I'm not going to take it right now is dumb, and I'm bad. But just to illustrate, the archers, they shoot at range, and the pikes are very interesting. They are extremely strong if they can stand in one spot and the enemy comes to them. However, if you are on the move with the pikes, they do nothing. They just like cannot attack while moving. So one lone enemy swordsman can just kill all your pikes if they are caught out of position. Now, another thing I should mention is the map. There's some icons here that are important. I'm not going to do a whole playthrough here. I will do a playthrough on hard difficulty to really get into the strategy and depth of the game. If you want to see that, stick around. But just to explain a couple of basic things, these things are items. Items are things that you can equip, and they just, add some kind of power or some special ability to your to the squad of the commander who equipped it. And right now I've been playing the game a lot and I have everything unlocked, but if one of these items has like a border around it, that means that you not only get it, but you also unlock it so that you can start with it. Like in the beginning of the game, when I started, I was able to just select starting items for my characters. That's how you gain the ability to do that. So whenever you're playing, you always want to try to get to these islands in general, because the items are strong. But in particular, you should really try to get the ones that have the border. And this is another commander. So you're not just stuck with 2 commanders. You can have up to 4 commanders go into battle on an island, and you unlock commanders as you go when you see these banners. Now this means that the commander has an ability. If you just get a random color border with no, symbol on the banner, that means it's just a commander with no abilities, kind of like my 2. They're just, ability free commanders. And similar to the items, if there's like a special background, like a white background, I think is what it is, or some kind of outline, I don't actually remember, but if it looks different than this, that means you not only get the commander, but you also unlock the ability to start a game with that trait. Now, up here you can see a question mark. As we go along, we're going to get new types of enemies, and the first time that you see a type of enemy, it starts off as a question mark. In the beginning of the game, the next enemy that you will be introduced to after the basic sword guys will either be an archer or a shield carrier. So the shield carriers, they have shields, that makes them resistant to your archers, and just, you know, harder to kill in general. And then the archers, of course, are enemy archers that shoot at you. So this is actually very deliciously tense, because if I get pikes and these are archers, that's bad, because the archers will murder the pikes. If I get archers and these are shields, that's bad, because the shields are very resistant to the archers. But I will still, just for the sake of illustration, grab archers on one of my commanders and pikes on the other, just to illustrate the slightly more different versions of enemies. And I will go and fight here in Scraggle. We do have a commander here. These are basic militia. So it's fine if this is archers, because I can always use the militia that are coming on this island to mop it up. Now, here we have a really defensible fortress. These pikes can just sit here, and it looks like we do unfortunately have archers, so I'm going to send my militia down. The archers do fire from the boat, and my archers have high ground, so they're less likely to get shot. I'm going to wait for these archers to land. Wow, my archers shot very well, so you can see they're not super accurate. Once the boat lands, we send our militia down, and then we clean up. So yeah, you can see how the archers shoot, and I'm hoping that some melee guys come, and you can see how the pikes work. So yeah, the archers are very inaccurate. They're just missing all over the place. Last time, that's why I was like, whoa, my God, the archers, because, oh man, these guys actually shot up and killed one of mine. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna send my archers to refresh in a house, because I don't need them at the moment, because right now you're gonna watch these pikes are just gonna completely murderate these guys. Notice I have them kind of hanging over the edge like this. That is super effective. I could have put them in this spot, and it also would have worked. You can see, but over here it's even more effective. So we're gonna have 2 waves of guys coming, and okay, I'll let my archers kill some people. That's fine, but it wasn't even necessary. Pikes could have soloed this island. And in fact, if the next enemy that we'd gotten was shield bearers instead of archers, 1 unit of pikes could have cleared this island by itself just by sitting right there. Now, the reason I'm talking about how, like, you know, 1 pike unit could have dibbity-boo, let's talk about what happens next. So I'm gonna press next turn, and let's go over here to Crow's Nest. So one important rule is that the fewer enemy types appear on an island, the fewer enemies overall there will be. So we have just sword guys here, which means that there are fewer enemies total than there would have been if there had been, say, sword guys and archers. So what I'm going to do here is just play with pikes. Or, sorry, I'm actually not going to do that because that would be terrible, because there's too much ground to cover, and yeah, there's multiple ways to get up. If there was only one way to get up to these houses, I could actually have done this and parked the pikes, sacrificed this house, and then won. But as it is, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to commit all your commanders to an island. You can just fight with 1 or 2 commanders and then use the other commanders to take on a different island. This allows you to clear multiple islands on the same turn, which generates more money. You can see if I were to send all my guys to Mackerel Mound here, then Crow's Nest would fall to the oncoming waves of berserkers, whereas if I could somehow clear Crow's Nest with just 1 commander and then take on Mackerel Mound with the other 2 commanders, I could clear both islands and make more money that way. So I can see here maybe like if I take Mackerel Mound, then Bump, if I'm lucky, is something that I could solo with the pikes, though if archers were to be here, I wouldn't be able to do that. So we'll try it just for fun, see if just pikes can do this. I suspect it's going to go badly. We might have to sacrifice this house. It's possible, depending on where the enemies land and where they go, that I could pull this off. Because right here, basically, I choke off any boats that land here. Now, if the boats land over here, let's see, can you, oh my God, is this oh, is that climbable? Oh, wow, that is bad. I did not realize there was this weird little path that lets you climb up to here. Oh boy. Okay, well, let's see what they decide to do. Let me just make sure. Let me just see if yep, you can definitely do that. This is a mean island. All right, so they might go after this house. That's fine. I'll just move and they'll probably climb over here. Or they might try to climb up to me. Okay, so they are not going for the bait. Let's go up here in case they climb up this way. They're not. They're going for the house. So I'm guessing after that, they're going to try to climb up here. And then my pikes will cut them off. Oh, no, they're climbing up there. Oh, dear. Okay, so I got to be very careful because if they catch me while I'm moving, I'm going to be screwed. Okay, that was a little close. Notice how my pike was kind of dancing around. Oh, right. Wow, this is so bad. Okay, so, yeah, this is clearly not a situation where you could have actually used solo pikes. There's too many ways up. So our commander will die, and that is sad. But luckily, if you have clicked the restart level button, even after they die, you can just click restart level. And the best part is you can even change who you're sending out and even exit to map if you want to pick a different island. All right, so as we go along, there will be, of course, other enemy types. You can also upgrade your units. You can get new abilities like this pike charge. You can also upgrade units twice, 12 gold to veteran and then 20 gold to elite, just to make them better at what they do. You know, the pikes are better at piking, the archers shoot faster and are more accurate, and so on. The infantry are better defended and hit harder. So you can get abilities for each class, you can upgrade each class, and then some items can also be upgraded. And you go along, try to get as much money as you can, and fight new types of enemies. So to learn what the other types of enemies are, you can, of course, watch any of the many guide videos on YouTube. A lot of great content creators have made really great videos showing tips and tricks for Bad North. Me, I'll be doing a playthrough on hard difficulty. So if you want to see from start to finish how to tackle the different types of enemies and just generally make decisions about how to play, stick around for that. That'll be coming up next. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.